Zion Williamson, in my mind, has already played the last game as a Pelican. At this point, with him rehabbing away from the team, I'd be shocked if we even see Zion in the Smoothie King Center again as a member of New Orleans. I don't see how this resolution gets solved that leaves Zion still in New Orleans, still playing for the Pelicans again. Because here's why. In the NBA, player empowerment has tipped the scale so much in the favor of the players that really there's no working things out anymore. There's no talking things through. Like in the NFL, for example, NFL teams still hold the power. We've been talking about Aaron Rodgers now for the last year. Will he stay or will he go? We don't know if he actually formally requested a trade, but as we know, he was unhappy with the Packers. Well, guess what? He didn't really get what he wanted and still played for Green Bay last year. Russell Wilson publicly voiced his displeasure with the organization, had his agent leak out 4 teams he would accept a trade to last season, and wanted more say in decision-making. Guess what? He didn't get a trade. He didn't get more say. He really didn't impact his standing or his power within the organization at all, and he still stayed and played with the Seahawks last year. So quarterbacks have tried, the most important position in all of sports, have tried to make power plays before in the NFL, and guess what? The NFL teams kind of laughed at him and said, we're not going to do that. You're still going to play for us, and okay, the quarterbacks have obliged. We rarely see players kind of get one over on the teams. The NBA is a lot different, right? The NBA, as soon as a player is disgruntled, as soon as he wants out, as soon as leaks are made to the public and to the media that, hey, this player is upset, what happens? Boom, he's traded. There's really no working things out. There's no Seahawks situation where they say, you're playing for us. Okay, fine. Russell Wilson, you're coming back. And he says, okay. Aaron Rodgers, you're upset. Well, okay, too bad. We're still going to have it our way and you're going to play for us. And him saying, okay. Once players are disgruntled, once they are upset in the NBA world, they are traded. The players, if you will, have kind of been able to flip the parent-kid relationship, I guess we'll say. What's what we'll use, right? How many times growing up, or if you're currently a parent right now, do you say, do this, whatever, clean your room, go to your room, take out the trash, don't say that word, and then what do kids say? Why? Why should I do that? Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? And the reasoning is always, at least with my parents saying, because I said so. Because I'm your parent, because I told you so. That's kind of what the NBA power structure is like for players. The players have now assumed the role of the parent. I want to trade. Well, the team like, well, why do you want to trade? Because I want this. I don't like this. I don't like that. Do this. Trade me because I said so. Team's like, okay. There's no real working through. There's no talking things out, hashing out your differences, and coming together to an agreement or to a compromise. Players are frustrated. They want out. They say, I want to trade because I said so, and the teams are most likely acquiesce and trade said player. So this prevents, again, things are being talked out, things are being worked out, which for me, when you look at the latest player to be upset with his team, Zion Williamson, I don't see in today's NBA, in today's climate, how things improve between Zion and the team. And with no improvement, he's a goner. I mean, look, the writing is already on the wall. He is in year 3. That's it. And the writing is already on the wall to where this, to me, seems unsalvageable. Let's go back to even just a few months ago. The end of the regular season, June of 2021. What happened? Pelican season ends, a disappointment. They thought they're going to at least be a playing team, couldn't even reach that. And there is an article by The Athletic citing sources that Zion's family is upset with the Pelicans. This is at the end of year 2 of Zion in New Orleans. There is already articles talking about Zion's family wants him out of New Orleans. They wanted Zion on another team. And even the Pelicans making some moves, let's say firing Stan Van Gundy after just one season. Players did not like him. He was, he did not really connect well with them. He was fired. That still didn't change much. That still didn't really, turn Zion's thinking of the organization around. In the article by The Athletic, again, part of the citation And why the fan was upset? Because they didn't feel like the Pelicans, in just year 2, lived up to their expectations and treated Zion like the star he is, treated Zion like stars should be treated. Is that fair? I can't sit here and say yes. But this is how Zion's family feels, and this is how, again, players, when they feel like they aren't getting the proper treatment, are going to act. And this is just, again, after year 2, where year number 1, his rookie year, obviously we know he was, coddled along, barely, kind of incrementally moving along in terms of getting back on the court. And then the pandemic hit. So year 1 is almost kind of a wash with how little Zion was playing. Year 2, he was for the most part healthy. But after that, boom, already reports that Zion's unhappy. So things, you imagine, under the surface already had to be so bad where his family's leaking to sources that Zion is unhappy and they want him off of New Orleans after just 2 years within the organization. And guess what? Since that article was posted in June, from June to February, things haven't gotten better. The tide hasn't turned. Think about how this season started for New Orleans and Zion. You had at basically media day for the Pelicans before the season started in 2021. You had David Griffin come out and announce to the media Zion had foot surgery over the summer to repair a right foot fracture, but he should be set for opening night, which was October 20th. So media day, okay, Zion had another surgery, but don't worry, all is well. He's still on track to play opening night, October 20th. Do we look at the calendar? Does anyone know what today's date is? It's February 24th, 2022. Back in September, you had the president of basketball operations, David Griffin, say Zion Williamson will be set to go for the opening night game on October 20th. It is now February 24th, 2022. Zion has yet to appear in a game. Zion has yet to play 1 second on the court for the Pelicans. Not only has rehab been not going well for Zion and the team, he's not even at this point rehabbing with the team. Things have gotten so bad where he asked to rehab away from the Pelicans. That shows you where the trust is between Zion and the organization. Not only was the timeline either wrong, David Griffin lied to us, or things haven't gone correctly, you now have Zion saying, I can't even trust the Pelicans medical staff enough to get me in position to play. So I'm going to go train on my own people away from the team in Portland, Oregon. Arguably literally the furthest possible place you could be in the continental United States. That's where Zion decided to do his rehab. And you have David Griffin putting this statement out there when the news was made that Zion was going to rehab away from the team. David Griffin said to the media, quote, "We also agreed that in order to put Zion in the best position to succeed, he will rehab away from the team at this time so he can focus on the task at hand." End quote. Basically saying, yeah, we agree with Zion. I think it's a good idea that he should go away from the team. In what world is a team agreeing to this and is a team saying to themselves, this is a good idea? We're going to have our star player rehab away from our site? For Zion Star, for how much he means to New Orleans, when Anthony Davis left, for you to get the number 1 overall pick with one of the most hyped prospects in the history of the NBA. We knew about Zion Williamson when he was like in 8th grade. There was mixtape videos of him in high school throwing down dunks. He, by far, maybe since LeBron James, was the most hyped high school player we have ever seen. For New Orleans to be able to land the number 1 overall pick and draft Zion Williamson, that is a massive deal. That's literally a franchise-saving lucky bounce by the lottery ball. And now you have your president of basketball operations agreeing and trying to put out this front that you're on the same page with Zion, that you think it's a good idea for him to rehab away from the team. That should show you, again, things have not gotten any better since the Athletic article was put out in June that his family members want Zion out in New Orleans and want him to be on a different team. You now have an injury that's prevented Zion from getting on the court. You now have distrust between Zion and the medical staff, distrust between Zion and the team, to where he has to rehab on his own in Portland, Oregon. That is extremely alarming. That is insanely alarming. You want to have eyes on him. Again, Zion is insanely important to the Pelicans' success and their future. I mean, you can make the argument Zion is important to keep the Pelicans in New Orleans. That's how big of a get this was, and that's how important his happiness with the team, is to the city and is to this organization. And you now have, or we're sitting here, I should say, to the point where you can't even have your star player trusting you enough to rehab on your own. That's not a decision you sign off on. That's not a decision you suggest. That is Zion saying, I don't trust you. I'm leaving. So put it, and spin it however you want. And David Griffin trying to tell you that the Pelicans are on the same page. There's no shot in hell the Pelicans are on the same page as Zion. There's no shot in hell they advised him to rehab away from the team, to get medical attention, medical advice from someone outside of the organization. That is extremely alarming. Extremely alarming. But it gets worse. The divide for me only gets worse to where, again, I can't see how he is going to stay in New Orleans and play another game for this Pelicans organization. Because guess what? Despite his injury history, despite the fact that, he was coddled along in year one, year three is yet to play a game for this organization, this is still supposed to be Zion Williamson's team. Again, I just told you about how important he is to the organization. He could possibly decide the future of the Pelicans if they are moved out of New Orleans or if they are kept there. He is the star. He is the name. He is the face of the team. He should be the guy everyone gravitates around. He's the leader. Whether he wants to be or not, he's the leader of this team. And it sure as hell appears like he does not want to be the leader of this team. Because guess what? His actions speak louder than words. When CJ McCollum a few weeks ago was traded to the Pelicans, even though he's not playing, do you know who didn't reach out to him? Do you know who didn't say a word to him? Zion Williamson. You know why? Because to me, that says that's a player who thinks and knows in his heart of hearts he's never going to be playing with CJ. Even if he knew he's not returning this year, but he'll be back next year, with CJ's contract, if you're Zion, you got to think, okay, maybe I won't play him this year, but I'll be playing with him next year. I'll still reach out to him and say, hey, CJ, excited to play with you, whenever that is. Congrats on New Orleans. Welcome. I can't wait to, meet you in person. Zion didn't do any of that. He was guilted eventually into texting CJ McCollum because CJ McCollum basically called him out on the NBA TNT All-Star pregame show when he said he hasn't heard from Zion. And everyone's like, what? What? You've been on the team for a few weeks. You haven't heard from Zion Williamson? He was guilted to eventually reaching out to CJ McCollum. That tells me, again, that's someone in his heart of hearts who knows in Zion, I'm never playing with CJ. We will never be on the same court together in New Orleans as teammates, so why bother reaching out? That's what I see it as. That's how I read it as. You only ignore a trade. You only ignore a player that's, a significant piece, right? It's not like a G League player that was just called up or a undrafted free agent that makes a team. This is a guy in CJ McCollum who, again, is a very good player. He's not a star, but he's a very good player. He's going to essentially be your sidekick, if you will, when Zion returns. And to not reach out, not saying anything, to me speaks volumes to Zion and how he views the future of the Pelicans and how he views the future of him not in New Orleans. So we obviously heard JJ Redick, crush him, call him a detached teammate, and he's 100% right. Even if you're not there in person, you got to reach out. Him not reaching out to me says volumes. So all signs are pointing to Zion Williamson already playing his last game in New Orleans. And you know what? There's one move the Pelicans did this week that kind of shows you the Pelicans, I think, have already accepted this fate and this reality. This week, they sent out their memo for season ticket holders, their pitch the Pelicans made to re-up your tickets for 2023. Get your season tickets for next season, renew right now. So how do you renew? Well, you sell hope, right? The Pelicans think this year they're trying for a play-in spot, but you want to at least sell hope and sell tickets next year by giving hope and reasons to watch the Pelicans next year. So usually you include your best players. Here is who the Pelicans put on their season ticket memo. And I want you to listen for the name I don't mention. They right away say, hey, head coach Willie Green's got this team in the right direction. We have guys like Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas, CJ McCollum. That's it. No Zion Williamson. Not one mention of the former number 1 overall pick. Not one mention of Zion as a reason to come to the Pelicans. To come buy season tickets to watch the Pelicans, I should say. Excuse me. If you are a prospective season ticket holder and you're being sold on next year, why should I buy expensive tickets to the Pelicans? Reason numbers 1, 2, and 3 should be Zion, Zion, Zion. Come watch the most hyped prospect we've ever seen. Come watch the guy at Duke that was throwing down thunderous dunks. Come watch the guy, by the way, that when he's been on the court and healthy, has been a great player for us. He's been an all-star. He's averaging over 25 points per game. He has been a great player for New Orleans when he's been on the court. So you absolutely have to sell Zion to season ticket holders as a reason to renew for next year. And he was not mentioned once. Instead, come watch Jonas Valanciunas. Come watch the big man down low. Yeah, that's a reason I'm going to renew. That's going to get me, digging into my bank account to give, fork over thousands of dollars to watch the Pelicans in person next year. That's not an oversight. That's not bad marketing. That's the Pelicans knowing, oh boy, odds are Zion's not going to be here. We can't sell false hope. We're not going to tell you Zion's there and do the old bait and switch when he asks for a trade this offseason. I think the Pelicans know a trade request is coming. I think the Pelicans know Zion has already played the final game for them in New Orleans.